way that wasn't written.
The second-hand story of the guy with the cocaine and the butter knife.
So, if you actually put that somewhere, you have to include a note that says that A, I got that from a book, and B, that's not how it was in the book.
But your version, I'm sure, was way better.
I think you basically said that that wasn't how it was in the book.
Yeah, I embellished it nicely.
I stopped before I got through.
Jared.
Oh.
Jared, okay.
Okay, so that many of you have heard this multiple times before. So basically, Aaron, I'm trying to decide whether to go through Colombia or not and just like skip it and go to Ecuador, assuming that I get that far, of course. But like, basically I've been reading the journey logs and whatnot of all these other bikers who've taken the same trip, and they generally, like, half of them get to the end of Panama and they reach the Darien Gap, as it's called, which is, you can't really go through unless you're extremely insane and hardcore.
Okay.
But so it's like half of everyone who gets there seems to just take a plane and go straight to Ecuador, and then half of people are like, why is everyone going to Ecuador? I'm going to go to Colombia. Which it kind of makes sense if you like actually want to ride the entire trip.
Colombia comes first.
Yeah, exactly. So they go to Colombia, and they pretty much universally report that like they're always like afraid to go to Colombia, but the people that they meet there are like the happiest, most beautiful people they've ever seen anywhere. With one twist, in the case of one person whose log I read. And they said that basically they got to Colombia and they were like, man, this is amazing, like the food is great, these are the happiest, most beautiful people I've seen anywhere. But then, one day, well, first what happened was he was this American dude, and he had this really, like, gnarly, beat-up bike that he was, it was not, like, really well kept. It was full of little plastic knickknacks and, like, funny bumper stickers and things. It was just, like, really rusty, but it got the job done. Kept rolling day after day. But he met up one day with this, and he had taken, like, a year to get from just, like, Alaska to there, or maybe more than a year. Like, he'd gone fairly slow. And one day he met up with this German dude who had done that same distance in like 6 months, and this guy was like really serious, like had the full spandex, like it was like pointing at these plastic knickknacks and said like, what does that do? And he was just like, oh, you know, it's like it's a toy, and he was like, like it doesn't increase your speed, or how many grams does that weigh, or something like that. It was kind of this odd couple situation, but you know, they rolled together for a few days, and they enjoyed each other's company, and they camped together, and there were things like where the American would always stop and he would get the local food, which is like big, fatty, like greasy, fried street food, and he would love it, and the German would just be like, and he would eat his protein powder or something, and just like subsist on this very like Spartan, like high-powered spandex cyclist diet. I say all this going to wear spandex myself. And there goes my beer. Anyway,
There are more, it's okay.
but so it was like, you know, nonetheless, they were friends until basically this thing happened where one morning, like early in the morning, they're like really in this really hilly area, and they're just like really tired, but they have to like build up their strength. They go into this restaurant. The German goes in the restroom. The American, he goes to the counter and orders some food or something, and like just then, this group of like 4 or 5 like very happy guys like comes into the bar, and they're just like cheering and laughing like, ha ha, everything is great, beer for everyone, cervezas para todos, and he's like, that's you know, it's real nice of you guys, but I got a whole day of biking ahead of me, and it's at 9 a.m. and I don't really want a beer, but thanks a lot for the beer. And they're like, no, I insist, a beer. And he's like, no, you know, it's, I mean, thanks a lot, but I don't really want a beer. And they're like, no, I insist, a beer. And they just get like more and more like angry and emphatic until he's like, okay, beer, fine. And he starts drinking this beer at 9 a.m. and like they all get happy again, and they take out this giant bag of cocaine. And they're taking hits off like a butter knife or something, like insanely gigantic hits of like pure cocaine. And he's just like kind of keeping his head down. And then they turn to him and it's like, ha, have some cocaine. And he's like, you know, that's real generous of you guys, but you know, I gotta like bike all day, and I don't really like cocaine that much, but thanks, like, that's really generous. And he's like, no, I insist, have some cocaine. And he's like, that's really nice, you guys, and I know that's a lot of money in cocaine that you have there on the butter knife, but I mean, really, I'm good as it is, and anyway, yeah, I'm good, but thank you. And he, like, the lead guy whips out this pistol and points it at him and says, "I insist, have some cocaine." And so he's like, "Okay." And he takes this, like, monstrous hit of cocaine, like, right as the guy has put his gun away and the German walks right out of the restroom and sees this. And they just, like, he finishes his breakfast and they get on their bikes and they roll, and that's just, like, kind of a strange day of biking through these mountains.
As one might expect.
And they don't really talk that much, and then they camp out, and, like, the next morning he wakes up and the German has left, like, 3 hours before dawn to get away from him.
Oh.
But other than that, everything was fine.
He never explained himself?
So where does the Darien Gap fit into that?
Well, they didn't go through the Darien Gap or anything. Basically, this is an example of Colombia.
Colombia is the first country
That's
after
just
the
what
Darien
See, I
Gap.
work with